Hey friends, it's me, Gigi, and I am here to give you another story time. As you can see from the title, this is how I beat my DUI case. Had nothing to do with me. This was all God. So sit back and listen because I feel like a lot of us rather take the easy way out, and this was something that was over a course of 4 years. But again, I beat it. So with the help of God, He can help us get through anything that seems too big, or we might think it's a mess that's too crazy to clean up, but there's nothing too big for God to help us clean up. So here we go. So I moved to Arizona in 2017, July of 2017, and when I came, I was living with my aunt and uncle, and then January of 2018, I drove my car back to Arizona, and I was moved into my own apartment. Once I came back, because I got it before I left in December, and then set it up so that I would be able to come back, have my apartment when I got back. So I was at that time drinking and smoking, and I realized along the way, all I did was bring Gigi from Buffalo to Arizona. So I kind of got like the same, was in the same type of situations, met the same type of people, and like it was just the same thing, just in a circle. It was like literally a new state, but the exact same thing. So that's when I realized it was like I was the problem. Like, I'm the only common denominator. So in 2018, so it was 2017 that I moved to Arizona. 2018 is when I got my own apartment. So September of 2018, it was around, I don't know if it's Labor Day that's in September, but it was a holiday. It was like September 2nd or something like that. And my friends had asked me to come out with them. It was one of the girls' birthdays. And I really didn't want to go, but I had just canceled on them, I think either last week or the day before. So I was like, I'm gonna just go. And we were going in Scottsdale. So anybody know about Scottsdale? You don't want to play with the drinking and driving out there. So I went, and we had a good time, but I knew I had to work that night. So I left early and was like, I'm going home, I'm getting ready for work, I'm stopping to get some food and go get dressed and then go straight to work. So on my way, I went to McDonald's. This time I was still eating McDonald's. I don't eat McDonald's no more. And I got a 2 for $5. I got a 10-piece nugget and a Big Mac. And literally once I got back, I was getting back on the expressway. I pulled in, I merged on, and once I merged, I put my nuggets in my windowsill so that I can like dip my nuggets in my barbecue sauce and stuff while I'm driving, because I was trying to eat on my way home because I knew that I would hurry up. I would have to hurry up and get dressed and then come back. Go straight to work. So when I merged on, I kind of was speeding. I ain't gonna lie, I was speeding. At that time, I was a speeder, but now I'm not, because I'm like, I ain't trying to get him no reason to give me no problem. So, but I was speeding, and while me trying to switch lanes, my nuggets slid in my windowsill and fell on the ground. So now here I am now trying to pick my nuggets up at the same time driving and speeding. Next thing I know, I see lights behind me and I get pulled over. So I pull over, and the officer was basically talking to me, asked me where I was coming from, and I was just letting him know, like, I was trying to pick up my nuggets because I just dropped them. I literally just left McDonald's. And I did tell him, I was like, it was a friend's birthday, I was in Scottsdale, and he was like, he asked me to get out the car. And I'm like, no, where's your supervisor? Like, you can send me your supervisor. I'm not getting out the car. So this is one thing that I didn't know. I didn't know that states' laws are different. I know. I should have known that, but I didn't. And now that is something. If you're gonna move to another state, you should definitely look at their laws, because they might not be the same as your own state, which I'm sure they're not. So in Buffalo, you don't have to get out the car. Like if I ask for the supervisor, like the supervisor has to come. But in Arizona, if you don't get out, the car is considered resisting arrest. So he was basically like, if you don't get out, you're resisting arrest. And I'm like, I'm not resisting arrest. basically, long story short, I get out the car and he has me come behind my car. So now because I have on heels, and um, it's like I'm behind my car. He's asking me to, so he's like, now you asked me to do all these sobriety tests. So he's like doing the walk in the line and stand on one leg. And I'm like, this is so crazy because I'm like, all these cars driving past. Here I am in the middle, well, on the side of the expressway, doing these stupid little sobriety tests. And like, it was just so much going on in my head at that time because I'm like, I really can't believe that this is happening. So um, I take the test, and like they couldn't say nothing about it, and um, he was like, okay, now that that's done, he's like, we're gonna give you a blow test. And I'm from New York again. I'm from Buffalo, but I was always told to never blow. If you was told, if you could, they say, if you ever get stopped by for a DUI, never blow. That's what I was told, and that's what I know. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna blow. And literally, as soon as I said no, he had a partner with him. He was like, arrest her. So at that time, I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, I just passed. I'm like, I passed all these tests. I'm like, why are you arresting me? And like, he doesn't say anything. Like, they're proceeding with arresting me. So now they're going to my car because they're putting me um, in their car. So they like, my car got to get towed, which is a holiday. So now I'm thinking like, okay, so I'm not even gonna be able to get it out tomorrow because it is a holiday tomorrow, and that's gonna be more money. So I immediately, I don't even know why, but I had my rent money, which was like $800 some dollars that I had on me, and I think I had it on me because I meant to go to the bank, but I didn't have time to. But I let them know, like I just kept saying, because I knew that they wear cameras, so I kept saying like I have money in my purse, and I let them know that, like I was like, it's cash, and I kept saying it over and over again just so that it would be documented, just in case if it came up missing or anything like that. I'm like, we not about to play that. So they did. They took my purse out. They had my phone, and like they were just basically searching the car, and I'm in the back seat. So now I'm in the middle of like so many emotions is like going through. I'm in the middle of like crying, laughing, like shock. Like it's literally so many different emotions because one, I just could not believe that this was happening. I'm like, this is like, I've never been arrested before, but this is really happening. So I get in the car, and now they're driving, and I feel like I was asking a question, and I don't even remember what I was asking, but they just kept ignoring me. So I'm like, all right, whatever. And we get to, next thing I know, we pull up in Walmart's parking lot, and I'm like, why are we in Walmart's parking lot? And they took me to like this little trailer. I guess it's like I don't even know what it was. I'm not gonna lie. It's like a little trailer, and when I got inside, it was another officer in there, and he was just like doing the one that was processing everything, and he was like, I'm gonna ask you again, like, do you want to blow? And I was like, no. And so we'll get there. So I was like, no. And but I did ask, I was like, can I go to the bathroom? And he's like, you can go in a little bit, or you can go something. So the officers finally got there, and they brought me my purse and my phone. So mind y'all, I had just told y'all that I just went to McDonald's and I got a 10-piece nugget that fell on the floor, and I had a Big Mac in my car. And I was like, when they got there, they brought me my phone and my purse, and I'm like, did y'all bring my burger? And it was like, no. So that pissed me off even more because I'm like, first of all, y'all know y'all tore my car, and y'all about to have this burger sitting in my car, which again, a reason why I don't eat McDonald's. McDonald's food don't rock. So it was still literally in perfect condition, just hard once I got back to it. But I was upset because now I'm hungry, and y'all arrested me, and like I dropped my 10 nuggets, and y'all really did not bring my burger. Like that was just, it pissed me off even more because I'm like, that was real petty. But whatever. So when they get there, they're like, well, if you're not gonna blow, we're gonna get a warrant to draw your blood. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, you're not drawing my blood. And he was like, well, we can either do it the hard way or the easy way, basically implying that if I don't cooperate, they're either gonna hold me down, or he's basically saying like they're gonna get it whether I choose to or not. So me being me, like I'm not about to fight with them. I'm not about to allow them to have a reason to just go above and beyond their authority to just do extraness. So I let them take my blood. They went and got a warrant for to get my blood, and they had like I guess what are they, phlebotomy nurse come, and she took my blood, and that was that. After they took my blood, I called my mom, and when I called her, I was letting her know, like, what was going on, and then I put her on speakerphone because they started talking to me, and I was like, she can't be on the phone. You need to hang up with her, and my mom's talking through the as well. So even if I put myself on mute, I couldn't mute her because she just kept talking. So they took my phone. I told her, I was like, they're about to take my phone. So they took my phone. They hung up on her. And then when I gave her my phone back, she had ended up texting me basically saying like, please don't hurt my daughter and all this. I didn't see that until I got back in my car. And it actually really made me sad because I'm like, I didn't think twice about it. Like I was just calling to let her know, but I didn't think about how it could affect her because she's so far away and there's nothing she could do. So she ended up calling my aunt, and they the ones who came and picked me up. So when they gave me my phone and my purse back, I went out. I counted my money first. I'm like, let me make sure that my money is here. And the other officer was like assuring, like, okay, your money is here. And I really believe that if I wouldn't have said anything about my money, it probably wouldn't have been there. But I'm not gonna assume nothing because it was there. So that's all that matters is that it was there. When my aunt and them came, the main officer was out there. He's like, you can be honest with me. Just tell me, because they asked me, was I drinking? I'm like, no, I wasn't drinking. And he was like, did you have anything to drink? And I was like, and I was like, I did have one, right? So I was like, I had one, which these officers, they're not for you. They're not trying to be nice to you. When they try to get that little soft tone, like, oh, you could be honest with me, they're just trying to use that against you. Literally, when they say that everything that you say they'll use against you, they are trying to use it against you. So it's better for you to just stay silent. Like, if you ain't got no lawyer with you, if you ain't got nobody with you to help, just be quiet. Don't say, like, literally say nothing. So I get in a car and I go home, and I could have went to work that night, but I was just like, I'm not going. Like, my car, I don't have my car. I could have took the bus up there, but I was just like, I'm not even about to do that. So I literally, like, it brought up like a whole new perspective because I'm like, okay, this is something that I really have to deal with. Like, this is my life, and I don't want this to ruin my life. Like, I have to figure this thing out. So around this time is when I really started growing my relationship with God, because I'm like, it's been so much. I've been saying like, I need to really buckle down and focus more on my relationship with God. And when they say that running comes before destruction, that is true. And I really feel like that was my destruction to get me really back on track with God. So this is when I actually, all this happened around the same time because I started following Transformation Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was like, I'm gonna just I will see his like little clips on on Facebook, and I really like enjoyed it because I love how he teaches and give proactive tips with it. It's not just a feel good message. It's like he's literally helping you and teaching you how to grow and how to transform in your life. So I was like, I'm just gonna watch. I think this was the next morning too. I was like, I'm gonna watch a sermon from him. I'm gonna go on YouTube and just type his name in, whatever, and watch a sermon. So the first sermon that came up was called 24 Ever. And I was like, this title don't really stick out to me, so let me kind of scroll through and see what else I find. But I didn't find anything else, so I was like, let me just watch this message. And when I tell you, like, literally everything that I was like literally talking to God about and wanting to change and wanting to really focus on, like, was in that message. And it was crazy because back then they didn't have the technology that they do now. So they were I was always a message behind. And the message that I watched was actually the first message of a 2-week series. So actually, no, it was a message of a series that was going to be happening to the end of the year, I think. I don't know. It was basically the first one. So I was basically starting a new series with them, with the one that I did end up watching. So that literally, from that point on, is when I really started transforming my life and really getting things back on track, because I'm like, I'm not gonna allow alcohol to ruin my life. Like, this is not happening. I'm like, I'm gonna fight this, and I'm just gonna do what I can to make sure that this never happens again. So I stopped. I used to drink and drive a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I did, and I was like, I'm not gonna drink and drive anymore, which I didn't. I like after that I stopped drinking and driving. I wouldn't even have one and drive. When I would go out with friends, like I wouldn't even drink. If I drove, I wouldn't drink. Um, so that changed immediately because I'm like, I'm not playing this game. And so before my first court date, which was the next month in November, I was like, I'm gonna do my research. I called a couple lawyers to see what they were talking about. They were talking about some 10K. I was like, oh no, I'm not paying no 10K. That's not happening. Um, and I just was like looking up everything that I can, researching stuff, so that by the time I had my first meeting with the public defender, I would kind of know what I was talking about and show that I was like, I'm serious about this. So my first meeting, I asked them all the questions. I was like, I learned that you got to preserve the video because if you don't ask to preserve the video within a certain amount of time, they can say that the video that they um, got rid of the video or deleted it or whatever. So I'll let him know about that. There's a couple other questions that I was asking him. He was like, "Oh, I see you did your research," and I was like, "Yeah, like this is my life. I'm not here to play. Like I'm here to beat this case, and that's that." So he was like, "There's not much we can do because they haven't given us the results back of the blood yet. So, we like, there's nothing really we can do now." Like he basically just went over everything, like the plea deal portion, like what I can get and how much time I can get, or if I go to trial, like the difference of everything. Like that's what we just went over. So I left, and then was it September, October, November? I went back, and again we didn't have the results back. But I was asking him about the video, and he still hadn't had the video yet either. So again, it was like another thing we just waiting. So December comes, and they finally gave us the um, alcohol content of what it was, and it was a 0.135, I think. Yeah, it was 0.135. And when he told me that, I'm like, nah, that's not true. But even still, I'm like, even if they say that it's true, like, can't you be 5 under, 5 over, like speed limit? Like you can go 5 over, 5 under. It's the same thing. Like that, like it's the same thing. So he's like, no, it don't work. It don't work like that. But I was like, okay, well, um, I want to. He's like, well, like we still got time because we still want to watch the video and stuff. Like I'm gonna ask for a motion so that until we get the video to see like what we have to work with. But I really felt like my public defender was like really against me. Like I was literally fighting against the officers and my public defender because he kept trying to get me like to take the plea deal, basically saying like it would be easier for me to take the plea deal, and I was lenient towards it for a little bit. Like I was really thinking about taking the plea deal only because I'm like I just really want to get this over with. It'll be over in a year. Like I would have to get an interlock system, but I would have to pay all these fees. I'll have to spend a day in jail, and it was something else. But if he's like, if you take it to trial, you don't know, and they find you guilty. Like it could be more. Like you don't know what they're gonna give you. But again, this is my first time being in jail. This is like my first anything. So you just never know. But he was literally like trying to get me to lean towards the plea deal, and my mom was like kept telling me not to take it. So now the new year comes around, and I finally get to watch the video. And these timelines is all kind of over the place because I'm trying to remember everything, but it's sometime in the new year. And I finally watched the video, and I'm writing down like times and stuff of what I think like is wrong or what could stand out. So when I actually talked to him about it, before all of this, the blood, because I was like, I want to get my blood retested, and he was like, well, if you get your blood retested and it comes out to be the same or higher, then that looks bad on you. And I'm like, well, I want to get it retested. Like I just kept saying, like I want to get it retested. I want to ask questions because my mom is a respiratory therapist, so she knows like how blood and stuff should have been stored. Even though they deal with the lungs, like she's in the hospital all the time. So she gave me questions to send to him, basically like what to ask the lady who took my blood, like how did they keep it stored, like just all these questions to make sure that the way they kept the blood and the way they did the procedures were accurate. Because at any little fault we could use that. So He was like, so I went, and when I was telling him about that, I was like, well, I'm like, I was like, can I be the one to question her? Because I just, like, again, like I said, I didn't feel like he was on my side, so I didn't really trust him. So I'm like, can I be the one that question him? And he's like, well, no, if you were defending yourself, that's the only way. He was like, but I have to. And I was like, well, can I go with you? And he got quiet, and he was like, well, I don't know. I've never had nobody ask me that before. But literally, the last time we met, um, I said something to him. He was like, I've been in this a long time, so like I know what I'm talking about or something like that. But now this time you ain't never had nobody ask you that. Well, now I'm asking you it, and he's like, well, I guess it would be my decision if we can do that or not. But he never got back to me about that. And I was basically saying like, can I can I read my opening statement? And he basically everything that I wanted to do was basically his job, but he was basically saying like, I would have to be defending myself to be able to do all those things. And I'm like, well, I'm just trying to let you know, like, again, like this is my life, and I'm just trying to fight to make sure that everything goes the way that it needs to go. So now I'll come back to the video. When I watched the video, and I wrote everything down, and when I talked to him about it after I watched it, everything that I was kind of saying, he was like, well, they can do this, and like literally just basically defending them versus defending me. So we got time to leave, and I had decided that I'm going to trial either way. I'm like, I'm not taking a plea deal. So when I was getting ready to leave, we're talking before I left, and he was like, well, you're gonna have to decide, like, are you gonna take a plea deal, or if you're gonna go to trial? And I told him like, I want to go to trial. Like, I'm I'm gonna go to trial. And he was like, well, you're not. He's like, he literally told me in my face like, you're not gonna win. Like, you're not gonna win. I was like, well, I'm just trusting God, and I believe God is gonna make a way. And he was like, I've heard that before. And when I say the moment he said that, like, it was like this feeling that came over me that was like, I just beat this case. Like, God loves making believers into non-believers, and the fact that he literally came out his mouth and said, "I've heard that before," and like a disbelief when I'm telling him like I'm counting on God to do this, like I knew, I was like, "Oh, I won this case." Like, there's no doubt in my mind that I won this case. So, I think we met. Well, oh, we did meet again. We met in March because my mom had came for my birthday. My birthday is March 19th, and my mom came to talk to him because he gave me court on my birthday. I'm like, I knew he knew that it was my birthday, but it is what it is. Like, so go. My mom came and she was talking to him, and she was basically saying like, this is her first defense. I mean, first time, like, getting into anything like this. Like, what if you had a daughter? Like, you would just want them to have to go, like, they don't give classes, or they don't do like no, like basically little things that you don't have to have all this stuff on your record. And he's like she's like, this just don't make sense. And like he was kind of getting frustrated and whatever. So the meeting kind of ended with him saying like, I got another client, and he just left. So now next month come when we're supposed to meet again, and he's like, well, something about we'll talk when you come in. I was like, well, I work, but you never gave me another date to come in. You left out saying you had another client, and he was like, okay. So I think he rescheduled, but I can't remember. But the next thing I know, I'm on my way to Buffalo, and this was April. Now I know this date. This was April, either April 19th or the day before. It was April 19th. And I literally just had landed, and I gotta look for some reason. I don't even know why. I was checking my email. I checked my email, and I had an email from him saying like, they basically filed a motion to dismiss without prejudice, which means that they can open it within a year. So I talked to him. I called him, and I was basically talking. He was letting me know like the officer has to get surgery and won't be back for 3 months, and I told him like, it's not fair for us to have to wait, so we want to file a motion to dismiss it with prejudice, which he was letting me know like, within a year that they can reopen it back up. He's like, that's what they plan to do. He's like, well, but you better pray. I mean, cross your fingers. And I was like, in my head, I was like, he weighing on you, because for him to say you better pray, I mean, cross your fingers, like that was your first response, is tell me to pray, because my faith, that when I said I believe God is gonna work this out, and you told me that you've heard that before, you saw it happen right in front of your eyes. So I'm like, I believe God is still working on him to this day. I've never seen him again after that, but I believe God was working on him as well. But I didn't believe that. I was like, they're not gonna open it back up. Like, I'm good. So that was the end of it. Literally, 2019, April 2019, my case was dismissed. Now, fast forward to August of 2022, and I'm minding my business, and that this would be another story in itself as to why I was where I was. But I was at this location, and they police officers pulled me over and was like, "You can't be here." And I was like, "Okay," but they asked me for my ID, and I was like, "Okay, I had recently said that I'm not gonna argue with um, police officers anymore when they ask me for something. If they ask me, I'm just gonna give it to them. I'm gonna just stay silent and just whatever, whatever. Like I had literally have been working on that to just because I don't know why I would get irritated when they came and asked me for my ID, and I'm like, why I gotta give you my ID? Like it was just always a big deal. So I've grown to just say, you know what? I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut. If you need some ID, because I know I'm not doing anything wrong. So um, they had it for a long time, and the officer that was up there was kind of like talking to me like he was just being mad annoying. But I turned my worship music. I was in my car, so I turned my worship music up. I mean the radio on, and it was playing gospel music, and I was just, you know, listening to that. So the officer that had my ID comes back and says, there's a warrant out for your arrest for a DUI that happened in 2019. And I was like, that case has been dismissed. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, I have papers proving that it's been dismissed. Like, I don't know what's going on. So, he's like, well, let me see if they even want us to bring you in. Like, I don't know, but that's what it says. So he goes back and he comes back and says, yeah, they want us to bring you in. So I'm like, wow. So this time around, like 3 years, like my faith with God is just like is very solid now. So and I know like just even in the season, like the enemy wanted me so bad to say that God has forsaken me, and I wasn't giving him that satisfaction. So I wasn't even mad. Like I was just like, if I'm going through this, it's for a reason, and I'm gonna have the victory out of it no matter what. So I go to I get out the car and they let me put like my sweater and some sneakers on, and because I had on sandals, but I had my sneakers in my car, and I was like, he's like, because I guess it's cold in there, which it was, but here I am again, just thinking like this is like I'm really getting arrested, like this is really happening, like I don't even know why, like I'm like in my mind like this case has been dismissed, so I don't understand what's going on. So they arrest me. I put my sneakers and my sweater on, and they arrest me, and I get in the car, and now we're on our way to wherever they're taking me. But I'm gonna do this as a part two because next part is like a whole nother story in itself. So we're gonna end here so that you know that it wasn't just over in April of 2019. That's why I continued the story up until here because this year of 2022 there was more. But yeah, so just stay tuned for part two because I will be back with it. Bye. Love you.